just as a mention for the future, we have an online registration that does things like prints out the badges so people can network. We, have the things so we can do the food. So if you would be so kind in the future, if you didn't register, you popped in, if you don't have a computer, just phone me and somebody in our office will put you on we'll take care of you. We're nice. So, but it just really helps to get everything out. Now, I don't know how many people are left that haven't gotten food yet. Can you raise your hands if you haven't gotten your food? And wrote me emails and said, I'm here to heckle Rob. So, I knew that when I got emails like that, that means the guy has an esteem because he's beloved by a group of people, because nobody heckles. I don't even get heckling. But as far as that goes,
yes, you do.
That's true. I'll tell anybody. Users of the system that are interested in a good system, we have a professional community in here. And so, small. And then Rob's going to go for, what, 30 minutes, 40 minutes? And then there'll be as many questions as you want until Rob needs to go. So that'll be, what, about 7:30 or something? All right. Anyways, we're ready to roll. No, we're going to do the presentation. I know there's a lot of questions for Rob because people have been telling me that. So we're going to relax and enjoy. So let's take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Bart. Great turnout. Thank you very much. I know I'm not that charming, so it must be that we have a real project that. I know a few of the teams are here that are actually moving forward with us on this project. I always told Carl, no hard questions. I go to Bob and Brett. You can put them in writing today. Now, I understand we're in a blackout period, so if you ask me questions that I feel I'm not comfortable asking them, I may not. So I'm going to give you an overview of this project. Can I tell you where we are in the experiment, what's coming up and so forth. And the staff I have already introduced themselves, like Matt and Mimi. Is Opie here, by the way? Okay.
She's coming.
Okay. And of course, I can't forget Dan. Dan's been a good friend and a supporter, and we want to see this project built as badly as he wants to have it built. I mean very sincerely. I worked on a lot of these projects over the years, but this is probably one of the most fun projects I've worked on, and I'm going to try and show you one. Okay. So, I had directions on this.
Right.
Okay, I always like to show this picture. Those of us in this room, and a lot of us, some of us who actually have worked on these projects, this shows what we've accomplished in the last 25, 27 years. I came here a younger man, January '85, and none of that existed. Okay, so we can really congratulate ourselves for what we accomplished. Now, to measure R, of course, we're going to build a lot more. Now, I've worked with people in this room over the years on these projects, both as a Metro employee, and actually on my second tenure with Metro, and also the consultant. Again, this is what we've accomplished. You can see where we're going. I knew I should have had directions on this. Okay, this is the Crenshaw Project. That's the yellow line. Now, you can see it provides a good backbone. It does connect with the Expo line, which is the brown line, goes all the way to the green line. Now, one thing you can see about this project, okay, is you kind of want to extend it. Okay, we're making a major investment in this Crenshaw corridor, and we want to extend it. Now, there's already a Measure R project called the South Bay Green Line Extension that could go hopefully as far as Florence. Now, we all know that there's a referendum coming up in the fall, in November. Are we going to vote for it, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Well, if that passes, guess what? We have another Measure R project that's going to come forward. That's a good thing. Because that means more work for all of us. And one thing we need in LA County, of course, is what? Thank you. So eventually this line, not only going south, but you can see it also wants to go north. It wants to connect with the purple line, and eventually go all the way, I call it the son of Measure R, all the way up to Hollywood. This line, once we extend it, it won't be me doing it, but it'll be someone else doing it, will actually rival the ridership we have in the blue line. Anybody know what the ridership in the blue line is today? Just a guess. What was that?
30,000.
Blue line?
80.
How about in the mid-80s?
85,000.
Okay. I tell you, when that line opened in 1990, nobody envisioned we're going to see that kind of ridership. So we've proven a point. We can actually get out of our cars and ride transit. I think that's great news. especially for people like me that work in this business, and others, of course, that want to help us build it. Again, what are the benefits of this project? Well, it does provide economic development and employment opportunities. Again, Measure R, when it passed, okay, our commitment is a great job. That's exactly what we want to do. It also provides future development opportunities. Very dear to Dan here. Dan is a developer in his past life, and we want to see transit-oriented development. We have some good examples in our network today. They don't occur overnight. They take work. But all these projects, including this one, have good potential for development. Okay, easy connections from the Green Line, X Line, and bus lines. It creates a new regional transportation connections to downtown Los Angeles, West Los Angeles, and so forth. So again, we're connecting the county to what we've never done before. Okay, this is the project at a glance. It is a light rail project, 8.5 miles. As I say, it does extend from Expo to the Metro Green Line. We have 6 stations in the base project, 6. We have 2 optional stations. I'll talk about them more as I go on. So 6 baseline stations, you can see there, Expo, MLK, Slauson, West, La Brea, Century, and of course the optional stations of Vernon and Kingston. We have a yard in this project. And one thing we've done kind of unique to this project is rather than build 1 yard per line, we're now developing a yard here that won't only serve the Crenshaw line, but it will serve other Measure R projects, like the Salt Bay, for example. So we're actually now developing a yard that will actually serve multiple lines. These yards are very difficult. They're not easy. Nobody wants them in their backyard. So it took us a while to get that yard to serve. Again, we are a large project. We're a $1.749 million project. Although the yard, we're actually sharing with other projects and the costs. So the 2 project costs are probably closer to 1.9. And I should just mention quickly, we are a federally assisted contract. So that it means we have applied for a federal loan called TIFIA. TIFIA is a loan, not a grant. We are going to pay it back. This will become a TA anyway. So we're actually negotiating that. It's $546 million. It's a third of the funding for this project. Also, TIFIA, this is the first project TIFIA would be used on a transit project. TIFIA is typically used on, say, highway projects. So we're actually creating new things as this project moves forward, which is actually very good for our growth. Okay, I always like to show this. I've worked on a lot of projects, light rail projects over the years. I've never worked on a project like this. This project is about 55% grade separation. Now that's astonishing, okay? And the reason it's like this is because we got good input from the community that made this a better project. This project has been in the planning for 3 decades. 3 decades, not more. This project was not envisioned to be a light rail project. Somebody wanted this to be a bus project. And I tell the community that we actually meet with on a fairly regular basis because of you, because of your input. This has become a rail project, a better project today than it was intended. So you can see, this is the Vernon station, the optional station that we are hoping to build. We also have the optional station in Westchester. But you can see here, we have a lot of grade separation. Now, I'm going to go through some slides that kind of run you through the alignment. Okay. I always like to show these pictures, okay? Because these show you where we've been and what we're trying to do to catch up and get back to it. Now, we don't build rail lines this way anymore. Too bad, huh?
Now you guys sound to San Francisco.
But again, it's always nice to see what our grandparents used to ride in this valley. And I always like these kind of pictures. I like to hang on my wall and just a reminder of where we've been and where we're going. Okay, so the project starts with connection to the Green Line. The blue here is aerial. So we come off the Metro Green Line and we fly over Imperial. We cross over 111. We come immediately down to grade. I'm sure you recognize the salt runways here for LAX. We come down the grade and we immediately go into a covered trench, we'll call it. Okay, and then we go right back up again onto an aerial structure. We cross over Century, where we have the station at a Century Boulevard. This was a challenge. Okay, this area was a real challenge. Okay, back in 1990, a project called the Metro Green Line was supposed to build this. Okay, they were supposed to build this. They didn't. Okay, they were supposed to build the Green Line all the way to Lot C, which would have got us pretty close to the airport. So now we're back trying it again. However, there's an agency out there, well, there's two actually. There's LAWA, which we're actually working through the issues with, that's the airport. There's also the Federal Aviation Administration. We did try to see if we can convince them. So it's not an ATC car, okay?
I was hoping it would be.
We are seeking innovation from the teams that are moving forward. And again, we'll talk more about this in our pre-proposal meeting, but we want innovation from the teams that are moving forward with us. Of course, we want the prices. But again, FAA is quite difficult to deal with. We were able to at least get a covered trench. It saved us very much money. They wanted us to be in a fully covered tunnel, all the bells and whistles. So they couldn't go at grade. Dan was pushing me real hard, but this is probably the best we could get. FAA, at the very end of the environmental phase, became what we call a cooperating agency. But that means they have to sign off on the document before we can circulate. FTA, the Federal Travel Administration, they will not overrule the FAA. They simply revert to them. So we have to have two federal agencies, FTA and FAA, sign off on our document so we can circulate. We achieved that in a fairly short time. Again, Supervisor Mark Lee Thomas was very helpful in that regard, so he opened the doors for us with FAA and DC. And I still have regular dialogue with the folks there, and I continue to use them to try and work those issues out with FAA. So that was a challenge. It will be a challenge to build, but we'll get it done. Okay, this is the station at Aviation Century. Now, that doesn't mean that's the station we're actually see built. It's just a concept that my friend Meredith Spikett came up with. But I think it's fairly impressive. It does create some sense, some structure. It's visible probably from the 405 freeway, Meredith?
I would think so.
Yeah. So we are trying to create a sense of place here. Again, there's another project which has been renamed called the Airport Metro Connector. That project would then connect from here and take it into the airport. So again, the Crenshaw project gets us closer to the airport, not quite there yet. So another project, which is a Measure R project, would actually make a connection directly to the airport. And that's in the planning phase, that's in the environmental phase. So we are looking at different alternatives for that, light rail, people mover. We're also working very closely with LAWA. So that project is down the road a piece, but in 2 or 3 years from now, that might be a real project. And then we can finally say, we got to the airport, and we finally have a world-class airport. Because without good transit, I don't believe we can say we have a world-class airport. No. Nobody from LAWA here, right? Okay. Okay, so continuing, number 4 is the station. That little blue dashed line there is what I was calling the Airport Metro Connector. There are many different ways to do that. That's just one. That actually represents the future people mover. There's no guarantee it'll be a people mover. But this shows you how that Century Aviation Station could someday become a major intermodal station to reduce the congestion around the airport and help commuters get there without their cars. So as we leave the Century Station, we do sneak by Wally Park. Already talked about the future people mover. Then we come back down to grade, which is the green. Okay, and we immediately jump over Manchester. Manchester is a major street. We cannot run at grade, so we are grade separated over. This is our yard. If we go back a bit, you'll see again where the yard is right here. Again, we went through about 23 different sites before we went back to the board and finally selected this site. This is about an 18-acre site. It will hold about 70 cars. And it will serve not just this project, but several projects that are in the Measure R pipeline. And that's kind of what it looks like. Okay. So as we continue at grade, they're very, very short distance. We then jump over La Cienega in the 405 freeway. Those you know this area, La Cienega is actually part of an off-ramp off the 405 freeway, so we could not run at grade. There's an existing, and actually it's coming up, I'll wait till I get to that picture. So we jump across the 405 freeway, we go back at grade again, and we get to La Brea. We go under La Brea, and we have a station just on the east side. Now, we originally wanted that station to be actually at La Brea, but there's an Inglewood fault there, and we did verify that the fault traces are active. So we had to move the station further away from La Brea. So the station now actually fronts Inglewood's commercial district. It's actually right between Locust and Market. Okay, this is the picture I was looking at. This is how it used to be. The current design actually is to take that bridge in the background away. Not an ATC, guys. Sorry. By the way, I'm saying this word. For those who don't know, ATC stands for Alternative Technical Concept. We are looking, as I said, for innovation from the teams to get a competitive edge, provide value, or so forth. But again, we worked very hard to get the BNSF track abandoned. Metro bought this right away many years ago, but we gave the railroad operating rights over this corridor. Now, along came a project called the Elevated Corridor Project that took most of the traffic, if not all the traffic, off this corridor. We've already put through the Elevated Corridor as a more direct route to the port. Because of that, we were able to negotiate abandoning this track. But by abandoning this track, guess what? We want more room, we can straighten the alignment, and the alignment now will actually sit on top of that bridge in the background once it gets demolished.
So the bridge will be demolished?
Yes.
Out of agency.
But think of it this way, okay? If you were to run across that bridge today, okay, it's different with a freight train that runs every, what, 2 hours maybe, okay, compared to a light rail system that's going to run every few minutes. So if we want to back up across La Cienega, the La Cienega game runs off the 405 freeway. It's very difficult to run at grade across La Cienega. Okay, this is the La Brea station. It's not the best picture I could find, Maris. In fact, I should have called you. You could have sent me a better one.
Oh, yeah.
But again, we did move the station further away from La Brea. One of the challenges we have here, for those that know Inglewood, we have Dunley Farms right over here, the second largest employer in Inglewood. Florence actually is above the track grade, probably what, 20 feet? 20 feet?
17, something like that.
Okay. So the challenge we have with this station is you want to make it visible. Okay. You want people to know when they're coming down Florence, they arrived at the station. So the goal that the architectural team had is find a way to make this station visible. This kind of the concept we came up with. We also came up with the terrace you see there to try and soften the edge because we are going to cut. Again, there may be some ATC opportunities here, but you entertain those during the procurement process going forward. Okay. You know, that slide's out of order. Looks like Pamela. I'll come back to that. Okay, this is the typical section along the Harbor subdivision. Actually, this is near Edward Vincent Park. There are a lot of palm trees. We used to have a cover sheet for this project, a lot of palm trees on it. Well, we changed the cover of this project because we're in a new phase. Again, we've committed to maintain as many little palm trees as possible. That's a very typical section for us in the Harbor subdivision. Remember, the Harbor subdivision is based on an old railroad corridor, and for the most part, we're running at grade through that corridor. Okay, so we're continuing at grade. The next station is West Boulevard. West Boulevard is the second station in the city of Inglewood. We are putting parking at several of these stations, La Brea, West, and Exposition. Now, that's kind of an intern use. Okay, again, I talked about development earlier in my presentation. If there's a better use for those sites, and I'm sure there will be someday, that parking could be very short-lived. Again, Metro's not really big anymore in providing parking. We provide it where we have to. We're much more interested in good development proposals. Okay, now you can see again, the red is cut and cover. So again, we're at grade here. We're about to make the turn on the Crenshaw Boulevard. We have to go again below grade. That's
If people are gonna ride their trains, don't they need places to park their cars?
we're encouraging you to be a commuter. Okay, I mean, this station at West could actually become like a neighborhood station. You can walk to it, you can drop off to it. There is some parking we're planning here in the interim period. Eventually, I think we'll find a better use for it. Again, Metro is trying to get you folks in this room to become commuters, to enjoy taking transit.
When you're running late, you wanna run some of stations.
Okay, but again, you get back on that freeway, you're gonna get late anyway.
You said that the station is in Inglewood. If it is west of West Boulevard, it is in LA. If it is east of West Boulevard, it is in Inglewood.
Yeah, actually, the West Boulevard actually is the boundary. The station itself is in Inglewood. Remember, West Boulevard is the boundary between Inglewood and LA. But this station actually is in the city of Inglewood. Okay, so again, we've made the quarter. We're coming up the grade within Crenshaw Boulevard. Our first station is the Slauson Station. The green area is what we call Park Mesa. A little bit of controversy about that section. You may have heard about it. I was hoping for a smile. Metro did get a lawsuit filed against Metro. We're going through the process. And we're just going to work through the process.
Slauson Station there.
Again, there is a station at Slauson in that grade section. And you can see we're at grade between 48 and 59th Street on Crenshaw Boulevard. You can see again where the red is on 48th Street. We go back into a tunnel again. In this case, we expect this to be a real tunnel, or some cut and cover at the end where the approach is. Sorry? A real tunnel? Well, by real tunnel, I mean we're expecting you guys to propose a tunnel boarding stream. You know, interesting to note, we cleared this project environmentally, fully cut and covered. You guys probably didn't know that. So this project we cleared environmentally, fully cut and covered. This project actually is similar to the East Side Project, only it's a bigger project. The East Side Project is one of Metro's most successful projects. On time, on budget, no claims, and very much money. So it's a project we are trying to model with this one. Okay, so again, number 16 there is the optional Bergen Station. I like to call it the Merc. 17 is the MLK Station.
How long is the tunnel, if I may ask you?
It's about an hour and a half. Again, it's very similar in length to the East Side Project.
Is the optional Bergen station on street or off street?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And that's why I put that to the end of the presentation. This is the at-grade portion to Park Mesa. Now, this is the widest portion of Crenshaw Boulevard, so it lends itself to running at grade. There's a medium in the center of that boulevard. We're taking the medium out. There's also a frontage road on either side of this portion of Crenshaw Boulevard. Our concept here was to turn Crenshaw into like a wider boulevard, call it a wider Grand Boulevard, wider sidewalks, landscaping, and so forth. But again, this is the widest portion of Crenshaw Boulevard. It does lend itself to be an at-grade bicycle system. Sorry? Yeah, it's actually a little more than that. So again, it is a wide street. There's 3 lanes in each direction. When we're finished with it, again, it's a very wide street.
Did I hear you correctly that the frontage streets
Today they are frontage road. Frontage road will be taken out, and it'll be just a wide boulevard. What we're doing though is we're providing much wider sidewalks so that we have space. Plus we're putting up landscaping. Okay, this is just a snapshot of the Slauson Station. Again, we're in the center of a pretty wide street. Actually, a lot of traffic runs up and down the street. Probably one of the highest ADTs on any street in LA County. So again, the challenge for the architectural team was to find a way to make us who are going to ride this feel comfortable. So this concept was to try and create some mass so you feel safe and secure while you're waiting for that train in the middle of Crenshaw Boulevard. Okay? So again, this is the concept. We'll see where it goes during the procurement phase. But I do applaud the architectural team for a difficult challenge, and this is how they chose to overcome it. Did the average daily traffic? So I think Crenshaw Boulevard is 40 or 50,000 vehicles per day, which is a very, very high number. Yeah, very, very high number. Okay, this is the MLK station. Again, that's the Walmart building you see there. Now, in the environmental process, we actually had a entrance on the east side of the street, other side of the street, not the west side. It's probably no surprise that the mall approached Metro and said, what can we do to have you guys consider putting your entrance on our side of the street? So it makes most sense. So again, this is the concept, fairly simple canopy, some lush landscaping, and all this has to blend in with the Walmart building, which is actually a historic building. We have to go through the State Historic Preservation Office to make sure that our designs do not take away from that historic fabric of our building. Again, this is just a snapshot again of the entrance. We like to use a lot of glass to keep the station open and visible. It shows you the portal going down into the station below. See, Jim, I told you I took some slides from you. Here again, this concept was again to kind of add lush landscaping. For those who have actually been to the mall, there's a fair amount of landscaping already there, but there's no entrance on the Walmart store on Crenshaw Boulevard. It's on the ends. So when I went, and one of my first meetings I had with Ken Lombard over at the mall, is we said, we can do this entrance for you. And guess what? You have a wonderful opportunity to take those two emergency doors, which exit onto a narrow sidewalk on Crenshaw, and turn into a main entrance. So I'm waiting to see, as we build this project, if they take us up on that, and they actually do it. I think they will.
For those of us who have bad eyesight, point to where the station is in the street.
Actually, there's no slide coming up that I'll show you. I'll show you the outline. Actually, I'm going to go back to the ones that were out of order here. Okay, this is the again the MLK area. Okay, that dashed line is the station box. Now these boxes are quite large. They're about 400 feet long. They're about 50 or 60 feet deep, and you can see it takes up the whole width of Crenshaw Boulevard. The entrance is right here, the glass portal I showed you earlier. So what we did when we sat down with Capri, we said, okay, we're not going to preclude an entrance on this side, so we're going to put what's called a knockout panel to allow a future entrance should this area be developed in time when this project is in operation. So we asked Capri to give us the easement, which they're willing to do. Now for the contractors in the room, they also agreed to let us use that parking lot for laydown. Okay, so we're going to have use of this whole area you see in blue here for about 4 years to build this. So again, these are not simple. These do take a few years to build, and there are some challenges. So this is the area that we were able to negotiate for the contractors to build this station. I'm going to come back to that one. Well, actually, let me go right there. This is the exposition station. Again, the canopy I showed you earlier, the glass, the open style canopy, what we'd actually envisioned putting here. Now you can see the whole block here. This is actually the expo line here. This is Crenshaw. This is Rodeo. So we're planning to take the entire block here. Again, this is the station itself. There's a crossover on the front. All this is underground. This is about 800 feet. We're proposing to use this site for mucking. This is where the muck, the tilling will come, and we'll take it down to, well, I'll take it down. The contractor will take it down perhaps to the 10th freeway. Again, so this is another laydown area we're providing, and this is going to be a parking lot when we're done. Again, interim use. I expect they will find another use for this very quickly, perhaps quicker than we actually think. And Bart, I'll email you the presentation that has these slides in order.
And they'll be up online by Friday.
Okay. We'll have email to you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So let me go back where I was. Okay, this is the end of the project. Again, we're in tunnel all the way to Expo. Now, we weren't always in tunnel. Okay, this end of the project was envisioned to be at grade. Okay, and through a lot of discussion, a lot of teeth pulling, we finally convinced people that this had to be underground. Now, we had a gap in this project, as Dan and others well know, that we've been working to mitigate for a long time. So we've been scrubbing this project so we could actually afford to build that underground section all the way to Expo. We had problems with the PUC when we were looking at that grade. The city didn't like it either. So I think this turned out to be a much better project. Again, it's input from the local agencies, input from the community, and we decided to go at grade all the way to Expo. Now, you remember one of the first slides I showed you, that future extension all the way up to Hollywood? This allows us to do that. If we're at grade, it'll be rather difficult. Because we are actually below grade, we can actually someday in the future extend this project all the way up to the purple line, perhaps beyond.
So would you bury the TBM and keep it there for the future, or take it out?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, future could be a ways away, a few years, could be run away. Remember, MedUR right now does not recognize a project north of that position. But there is a good project wanting to happen, or to extend this line, and it significantly improves the ridership. Like I said, we begin to rival the blue line in terms of ridership when we extend this line. Okay, milestones. Again, the board approved the memo document back in September. We got what's called a life of project budget in October last year. We got our record decision from FTA back in December. Our first construction contract, which is our advanced utility contract, we got bids on April the 18th. We've awarded the contract to Metro Builders. We're looking to give them NTP hopefully next week. We had a groundbreaking on June 4th at the mall. And this again is our first contract with a PLA. Everybody knows what it means, right? PLA, Project Labor Agreement. If you have questions, this lady right here can answer them for you. So again, Metro did create history, in fact, by adopting a project labor agreement and a careers policy for all our projects. I believe the threshold is like $2.5 million. So again, all our major projects, including this big one, will have a PLA in it, and I'll explain what that means in a few more slides. Okay. We are, for the main design build contract that I'm talking about, we have set goals already for design and construction. The goal is 20% each for design, and there are separate goals and for construction. Now, the project labor agreement, we do have a goal of 40%, and that's to encourage our contractors to find workers in what we call economic disadvantaged communities. Not local hire, okay, because we have $50 in this project. But economic disadvantaged communities, the goal is 40%. Okay. Then we did release the RFP to the pre-qualified proposers on Friday. And they all picked it up by now. They did. Okay, so again, 4 of the 5 teams have been pre-qualified. They're listed there. I don't think I need to read them to you. So 4 of the 5 teams are moving forward with us through the RFP process. We are looking for a contract award, hopefully in early 2013. Now we have another contract, again I mentioned earlier, called the Southwestern Yard. That's a fairly separate contract. It's actually going through the preliminary engineering design right now. It will be design build and released for bid in early 2013, either January or February. We are going with a low bid procurement approach on that. So we're not looking right now to go best value on that. We're looking to go low bid, design build on that yard. Okay. Just gonna take a sip of water. What am I doing for time? We doing okay, Mark?
You're good. We will give them 5 minutes for questions and they'll be happy. But if everybody lets him finish, then we can get to the question and answers.
Okay, I don't have to
Please.
I'm almost done.
All right, good.
Okay, so again, this is the public contract code that we have to follow. That's either a sealed bid or negotiated full trade off best value. Again, for this big contract, we are going best value procurement. So again, step one, we have adopted a two-step process. Step one is an RFQ that went out last December. It was based on a fairly detailed questionnaire. It was all pass-fail. Again, step two is the RFP we just released. We will be expecting both a technical and price proposal evaluation. We'll make a best value determination. Okay. Major activities in the RFP phase. We'll review initial proposals, what I call the ATCs there. Again, for an ATC, alternative technical concept, we're looking for innovation. It has to provide value to Metro. It could give the contractor a competitive edge. We don't want any innovative ideas. For example, that would require us to reopen the environmental document. That would be a no-no. So if we do not make an award in phase two, we will then go into what we call phase three. We will establish a competitive range. We will request what's called a best and final offer. At this stage, we're actually sitting down with the contractors and negotiating. We'll ask for a baffle, and we'll determine a contract award. Okay, I got two schedules for it. This one here shows you with the baffle. You can kind of read the steps as we go through. We did release the RFP, as I said, on Friday. The pre-proposal conference is coming up on July the 10th. The proposals are due on November the 6th. If we need to go to a baffle, we'll make the request in January, the due date in February, and the contract award in April of next year. And if we don't need to go to a baffle, if the contractors in the room, we say, don't want to go to a baffle. Okay, we'd like to make the decision based on what you turn into us in November. Okay, so it's our discretion, of course, to go to the baffle. You're going to hear this again at the pre-proposal meeting. So again, you can see here, we actually would have a contract award to be January, February of next year. Okay, again, because it's best value, we have to evaluate and we have to score both the technical and price proposal. You can see there the project management approach, we weighted at 35%, technical approach 25%, price proposal 40%. So again, we lowered the price proposal to 40%, so that means that not necessarily the lowest bid will actually win this job. We're going to score all these elements. Okay, what we want is we want a good team to build this project. So this is the scoring that we put together. And of course, there is sub-criteria for each one of those elements that we'll use in our scoring once we evaluate the proposal. I think I'm almost done. Okay, bid options, Limerick Park. The board last year did direct staff to design a bid option for the Limerick Park station, and we did it both ways. Okay, we did it as just a station shell that we build out in the future. This means we don't preclude an underground station. Understand, though, that if we don't build the station now, it's very, very difficult to try and build it later when you're in operation. So there's two options for a shell or a fully finished station. Also at Florence Henry, again, it's carried as a bid option for a finished at-grade station. Bid options will be evaluated as part of the total contract price. The staff recommendation on whether the option fits the project budget. Again, this is the station that we're in. The question that was asked earlier. It's an in-street station with the portal, as you can see there. This is the city parking lot. This whole area opens up to Limerick Park. Vernon is over here. We had an off-street option during the environmental phase. It was off-street, but we decided to move it in-street. We're actually carrying this through an abbreviated environmental process right now. Okay, so this is the station that there is some hope that we're actually going to build it, but we'll see. Okay, lastly, this is the Florence Henry station. It's an at-grade station with side platforms. Again, the way the motions were read, the Limerick Park station has to be built before we entertain building this station. And I think I'm down to questions. Okay.
Okay, let's start with questions. Does anybody have the first question?
I have 6, but I will.
Hang on. I'm going to call you by raising your hand. So, and you get one question per person until we go around the room until everybody's satisfied. We'll start with Russ in the back.
You talked about optional stations. How much is it to put in an underground station versus a shell?
Well, I don't know, we should probably ask the contractors in the room that question, because they're gonna be proposing to us.
Just sort of ballpark, what would you guesstimate?
2/3 of the cost of an underground station, perhaps. I really don't want to put out any ranges, because I know I have some of our teams in the room that are actually going to be bidding on this.
You say 2/3?
I mean, all your...
I'm not a contractor.
You're still building the shell, and you're not finishing it, okay? You're not putting your equipment in, you're not putting elevators and escalators in, but you're making the division for all that build-up. Okay, so there's a trade-off there. And, okay, I did say about 2/3 of the night. Am I right, Carl?
That's in the ballpark.
Okay, thank you.
Because this is one of the issues that came up with the regional connector about taking the station out, and if you put it back in, how it would work.
Okay.
Jennifer's next.
Thank you. I was perusing all of the slides, and I noticed there were a couple of areas where I saw bicycle lanes.
Yes, you did. Okay, on the section of Crenshaw Boulevard through Park Mesa, we're at grade. We actually are making provision for a bike lane that is not there today. And we've been actually working that very close coordination with the DOT. We're very keen on putting bike lanes where we can find space for them, as is Metro.
Okay, next question. You back there. I forgot what's your name?
I'm Jay.
Jay. Okay, Jay.
You know, the East Side extension that was so successful under contractor bid, that contractor, is that one of the contractors that is being considered for this extension?
Yes.
Okay.
Next question is Tom Rubin.
Well, if you're going to use the east side extension for the model, have you selected which high school you will rebuild in? However, another question you may care to answer.
I know what he's talking about, and the answer is no.
We are talking about some options. There was, as you mentioned, a bit of a financial shortfall in the environmental documents. How is that coming? There's some good things that happened recently, but how is that coming? Do you think you are going to be able to close that? Well, we can't talk about it yet. But
Again, for the base project, we believe we have both. I know you're talking the base project, or are you talking the base project?
Both, but start with
Base project, we believe we have close together. And we have what we'll call a buildable project.
Next questions. Raise your hands so I can cue people up. Mr. Stern, Zach.
Yeah. Is there any TOD deals already in place for any of these stations? And between now and completion date of this project, is Metro actively pursuing TODs, or is it a build first, build TODs later plan?
That's kind of a depends kind of question. I mean, we have provided planning grants for TOD to both cities. And actually, the city of LA just had their kickoff to look at how TOD could be done at some of these station sites, like the Expo Station, for example. If it occurs early, that's wonderful. If it occurs later, just need to make sure we don't preclude it. Want to answer that?
Okay, Brian, did you want one question? Quick.
Yeah, I have 6, but of course I'm limited to
I think
one.
you already asked me about 3 or 4. So
Brian, you only get one question. Just ask the question. If you can't ask it, I'm going to go to somebody who can. So just ask the question.
Sir,
Please.
you announced earlier that MTA is actively prosecuting the abandonment of the Burlington Northern's operations on the Harbor Subdivision. However, I can stop to tell you that there are many people who oppose the abandonment of that railway. They want commuter rail, Southern California Regional Rail Association operations on that right-of-way. Not even from Union Station to LAX, but from Orange County, through Slauson Avenue, through LAX, down to San Pedro. I can tell you that Richard Stow at RailPac opposes the abandonment. I can tell you that James H. Washington Jr. at RailPac opposes it, and I oppose it. Before.
What is
That's a statement. Now, do you have a question or we need to move on?
We're not, actually, we don't apply for the abandonment ourselves, the railroad does.
No, MTA.
We're not having a dialogue, Brian. You haven't got to questions, so we're going to move on to the next person. Thank you.
So, no.
Brian, you didn't ask a question. You had your chance. Jerry, pass?
Yeah, this is maybe a little hypothetical. What kind of priority do you put on the installation of escalators at any or all of the stations? For example, the Culver City Expo has no escalator, has 2 elevators, only one of which was working, the other barely. And is it something that, and you notice the Gold Line station right at Union Station here has nothing. What are the chances of getting escalators in addition to the elevators?
Metro's design criteria has changed over the years. Our criteria right now says we put, for any below grade aerial station, we put in elevators and escalators and stairs. Okay, so for example, the Century Station you saw there, aerial station, we're putting in elevator and escalators. And of course the underground station, that's automatic.
Okay.
Anything else?
Next question. Justin?
I know you were toying with having a 3-track station at Century and Aviation. Is that off the table at this point?
Well, when you say 3-track station, that 3rd track was to accommodate potentially a future project in the coastal light rail system. We're still working with our planners to not preclude, say, future extensions to this, but we're currently planning for a 2-track with a tail track behind the station.
Next question. Brian, I'm going to give you a chance. If you ask a question, that is, starts with a sentence and has a question mark, it's 10 to 30 words. Can you please ask a question, not a statement?
Did you know the institutional history of the purchase of the Harbor Subdivision by the LACDC? I have a copy of the agreement. It provided for commuter rail, and the reason for it was the purchase was commuter rail. It's explicit in the agreement. What will you do? What will you do if someone seriously proposes commuter rail along the Harbor Subdivision? Will you be able to cope with it?
We'll deal with it if that happens.
How will you deal with it?
Well, I'm not an attorney, okay? That's why we have county counsel in this agency to deal with those kind of
No. I'm talking about the.
Okay, this is not this is a question and an answer session, not a dialogue. And since it's hard for you to grasp the concept, I'm trying to be courteous, but everybody in the room needs to have a chance to ask questions and all. And if you want to sit down and have a dialogue, you need to dialogue with the right Metro person who can make the decision. As he said, there's attorneys, there's other people. If you want to file a lawsuit and do that, but okay, and then but you can't. Okay, we're going to go back to questions and answers. Anybody else have any questions? Russ.
Are there any decisions you have to make that are contingent on what the airport and the people mover needs to do, or is maximum opportunity being built into the system?
Again, that project is early in the planning phase. Again, we're aware of what they're doing. Actually, I participate in the technical discussions on that project, so I'm part of that process. Right now, this project is a standalone project that we will build. That project is still a ways away. We are waiting right now for LAWA to finish their own process. So that project has slowed down a little bit. We'll wait for LAWA to catch up with us. But that project probably is 2 or 3 years away. So again, there are some alternatives that we are aware of, and we're working to try not to preclude any of their options.
Do we have any more? Okay, Zach?
Does the timeline that you showed us change at all if Measure R is extended or not extended?
Yeah, we'll build this project 2 years faster.
If it is extended?
I'm joking. Well, actually, no, we will still build this project as fast a timeline as we can. Because again, the faster you build these projects, I think the contractors like that anyway. They get off the job and go on to the next job. What it does for us, though, is some other projects in Measure R that are in. Measure R is like a 3-decade program for projects. Okay, if the referendum passes, some of those projects in the second decade can jump into the first decade. which means we can put more work out for you guys to work on.
Oh, I have a question. There's a section of the right-of-way that has been asked to be potentially underground, and where it may or may not be the folks that are bidding may include it or not include it in the price. If the pricing doesn't work out right now and the budget matches up to what you have on the table without any of the betterments, is it possible to come back later, for example, if Measure R.2 passes or something, is it possible to come back later and retrofit that section to meet the political needs of the community, or is it going to be a
Again,
problem?
once a line is in operations, it's very difficult to do that. That section you're referring to, which is the Park Mesa section, that is not environmentally clear. So that we couldn't even put that project out as a bid option we wanted to today because it's not environmentally clear. Again, it's very difficult once a project's built to come back and make those kind of changes. Because that's not a simple change, it's a fairly significant undertaking.
Okay. Ollie?
Is the funding fully in place? Or
Yes.
is it-
Yes. Yeah, we are a fully funded project, but we would not have got our monthly project budget last October.
Forgot your name again?
I'm Jay.
Jay. Okay, Jay.
Jesse James. You remember Jesse James?
No, but it's
I
okay.
know Jesse James quite well.
You know, I just celebrated 70th birthday last week, and I remember growing up with the old rail system as a kid, up to my teenage years when they took it out. My question to you is, you know, we know that Measure R passed, and we know that you've got some support, but what more can the general public and organizations that I represent, the veteran community, and the disabled vets that use these lines, what more can we do to support you in your efforts?
I mean, I would think just continue to do what you're doing, okay? Encourage people to ride these, ride it yourself, and just be out there visibly and promoting Measure R. Measure R was a very good thing that happened, okay? We're gonna do a lot of good things over the next 20, 30 years. We wanna do it right. So, Metro, one thing I'll say about Metro is we don't blow our horn very well for the good things we do. We can do better on that, okay? We simply react to things. We should be more proactive and blowing our horn, telling all the good things we're doing. Because Measure R is going to be a good thing we're going to be doing. Olga, you want to say anything about that? By the way, Olga just walked in. She's the public relations manager for the project. My second angel.
Well, I wonder if it would be a good suggestion to hook Brian up with Olga to ask the questions that he's got.
And we would gladly respond.
I forgot your name?
Robin.
Robin. Hi, Robin.
Hi. From a sustainability perspective, you mentioned the bike path, and we also know that it's reduced emissions if people are riding the trains. Are there any other sustainable aspects of the project?
I mean, we'll encourage, remember, we're going to hire a contractor to do final design on this project and build it. So we're going to encourage that with the contractor we're going to hire. We are working with both cities on sustainability. They all have good ideas that we're actually looking at and exploring. So another day, I would like to say, yes, we will incorporate as many of those good features as we can.
Any more questions? Right, Brian, if you can give him a question.
I-
Wait, hang on.
Certainly.
Is it that's
Easy kill.
easy?
Easy kill.
Easy. I'll try. I'll learn. Easy.
So I and also after the west of the aviation station, you're like 2 stops of where the green line was originally. Will you be building tracks towards both directions?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's a double track system that goes all the way and connects into the existing Metro Green Line at Aviation LAX station.
Okay, so there'll be tracks turning towards Norwalk and then tracks turning towards. So you'll be using both of those stubs.
Well, if you ever go out there today and you look at the Green Line structure, you'll see a Y.
Yeah.
If I understand your question correctly, we're tying into both legs of that Y. Again, this is a light rail system that has 2 tracks all the way through.
So like operationally, do you plan to have the Crenshaw line take over the South Bay segment?
Well, what we're going to do is the Green Line today that comes from Norwalk will actually turn and go by the runways when they enter the aviation century station, it will turn back. Now, a future project might change that, so that green line will turn back today. The South Bay project should probably be called an extension of the Crenshaw Project, rather than the South Bay Green Line extension. I think one of the more major moves is north-south, rather than Norwalk down to the
All right.
Just to explain, somewhere around the years of our Transit Coalition mapping, I don't know if Justin was part of the mapping, but we saw that we could extend the green line north towards Santa Monica, and then if the Crenshaw line were to go south, it could acquire the existing rights along the green line, go south towards the South Bay, and so you create a cross.
Yeah, so there's a corridor we're trying to preserve, so that actually could happen someday as a future project, not a Measure R project, but as a future project.
And will there be like crossovers at the Century Aviation Station? Or I mean, because I'm trying to figure out like how.
I almost have to show you in a drawing. Again, it's being considered. Okay, we're trying to make sure we don't.
And I can say this, is our speaker next month is Bruce Shelbourne. Bruce is the guy who actually is consulted on how the rail lines operate. He's explained in past meetings, and I think is worthwhile for those that want to understand how the rail system actually works. People were thinking that, you could have a branch of the Crenshaw line that would fit into the Expo line, have all these branchings. And it's a mathematical situation. Even if you look at San Francisco, if you have two lines going in and two lines going out, mathematically you've got this overlay. And then when they split, but you're then splitting the headways, because if you have each train coming in every 6 minutes, you can have a train every 3 minutes in the shared corridor. And so those are kinds of issues that are pertinent to this discussion, and so Bruce will be our speaker next month, and those are the kinds of great questions that he will take, and he'll explain it, but he'll take the time, he'll draw and show you the things, because it's really worth learning how much capacity you can put on a single track rail line when you're having two lines feeding in and two lines feeding out. And there's all these mathematical iterations.
I can very, very quickly. Okay, when we come off the aviation century station, okay, the main line tracks go down like this. There's another track behind that stays elevated. That could be one leg of that future line. I heard questions about a future third track. The future track could be the other leg of that future line. But again, ask that same question to Bruce, because Bruce is the one that came up with the configuration that we believe works for this project. It doesn't preclude a future project.
Because I can just imagine like operators like rushing because they have to turn back around.
Well, all that's actually figured out before it goes. The problem was then with the Expo line is that it really wasn't thought of as a junction. I don't know about 10 years and 20 years ago, but the junction wasn't forethought, so the geometry and all the issues with the junction caused issues and problems. In this particular case, the line is being designed with that completely in mind and with the folks that operate the train. So the question you're asking, it's a valid question, but it's part of the design. As long as operations is working with construction and there's no silos, you get a good end result. The problem is that when you build a rail line 20-some years ago, when did we build the Blue Line, Tom? 20 what years ago?
1990, open July 17th.
And I don't believe, correct me if you're wrong, is that junction was thought of or planned at the time. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
No.
It was, but 2 decades later, so.
There was a line on a map. I think that's about as far as it went.
Which was standard line on the map, yes.
Right, so are there any more questions? I know Brian, but is there anybody else who's got a question? Brian, you get one last question. If it's got to be a question.
It's one fact sentence followed by one question sentence.
No. We don't do it that way. You don't get the concept. Concept is you ask a question. You can ask it. If you can't ask it, I'm going to close.
The background is not well known, which is why I.
It doesn't matter. This is not okay. Let me explain this. This is for a general audience. If you're going to get into the technicalities, I'm going to just move along. So I think you've helped make the decision. You want to make it too much detail, and we can't handle that at our meeting. We have a meeting that we're going to go into right now, and I want to have everybody give a good big hand to
audience, I enjoy doing it.
Just so you know the rest of the format of the meeting's going to go for about another 25 minutes or so, and we're going to follow the agenda. We have, if anybody else